welcome to GradMissions Office Hours. I'm Autumn,
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisanne.
and we are here this week to have sort of a lighter conversation with you
Yeah.
all. We have a lot of clients who are paying their seat deposits at their med schools, at their law schools, and because you are a bunch of high achievers with a lot of intellectual firepower,
Mhm.
you're now not sure what to do with your hands.
Right. You can't just take a break and enjoy the fact that you got into your top school. You got to figure out what to do next.
What's next? What's next? How do
No
I
breaks.
no breaks. And Lisanne and I are going to talk to you wearing a few different hats. We are going to wear the hat of former, deans of admissions. We are also going to wear the hat of your mama. And then we're going to wear the hat of people who have both been in med and law school and people who have supported folks in med and law school. So hear us from all three of those perspectives today. I've been reading a lot of people giving advice to students before their MS1 or 1L year. What should you be doing? And I know that you feel this intense pressure. You know what's coming and it's going to be intense, and you want to do what you can do now. You want to know what you can do now to alleviate some of the stress that's coming in August. And there's some really bad, honestly, advice out there about what you should do.
Yeah.
So
Just like for the admissions process, there's the stuff that you read online is not necessarily correct, or not that it's wrong, but it's not the best.
no, it's not. So maybe we start by what you shouldn't do this summer.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I think one of my number one things is do not try to buy/access all of your textbooks and read ahead. Don't do it.
Mhm.
Why not, Lisanne?
Well, especially for law school, reading your case books, it's way too much at one time. There's a reason that they assign one case, it's a ton of reading, but you're not going to be reading more than 5 cases at a time. Sometimes in property law, you're going to probably read the one case for 2 weeks. Um, and so just getting ahead, you're just going to confuse yourself, and you may not be briefing it correctly or reading it correctly. You're just reading it how you would read a regular textbook, and it's a different strategy. And so waiting until you get to law school to kind of them to guide you on how to read those case books is really important.
Yeah. There's a better use of your time right now.
Absolutely.
I also think I understand some people are working because you're trying to save up money for law school, for med school, but working up until like the day before orientation starts,
No,
just not the best idea.
no. Or starting a new job. We hear it's like, oh, you're going to law school, get a job as a paralegal, get a job in a big law firm. I think that's just going to add to the stress. One, you're relearning a new system. And two, I don't necessarily think it's that helpful for your 1L year, because the 1L year is, that scaffolding for the bar exam. It's not necessarily what you're going to see in real life practice of law. And so you start that new job and you're seeing these processes, and then you go to law school and you're like, wait a second, these two don't connect. And so it can be, if it's something light that you could do, like being a runner or do something like that, but starting a brand new position in a complicated job would just add more stress, and it's not really going to be that helpful.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay.
No.
What not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about what you should do.
Yeah.
My number one, and this is wearing the mama hat,
Mm-hmm.
is you need to get yourself healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's physically, that's
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, that's
Mm-hmm.
mentally.
For
And
sure.
maybe that sounds sort of woo-woo to you,
Mm-hmm.
but you're lying to yourself if you
Yeah.
don't realize that your body and mind are the biggest asset you have
Absolutely.
going into med or law school.
Mm-hmm. And confidence, good relationships, people that build you up. Um, I, I want to speak quickly about relationships, just
Yeah, let's
quickly.
do it.
As a mom, um, those of you who are going to medical school or law school right out of undergrad, don't be surprised if your relationships look a little different. And there may be some relationships that don't sustain. And I hate to sound like, oh, that's not going to be everybody, but after graduation and you kind of go separate ways, there's going to be friends who are working all sorts of jobs, doing grad school, med school, law school. And it's okay if you kind of have to take a break from that friendship or that relationship so that you can focus fully on school, and kind of maybe have that unspoken between your friendships like, hey, we're about to try something new. It's not that we're not going to stay friends, but you may not understand the rigors of what I'm going through. I'm not going to understand what you're going through, but just kind of knowing that it's going to look different. Where obviously, if you're going on to med or law school, you've worked really hard in undergrad, but it's going to be different. And so you're not, you know, hanging out every night and studying and then going to a mixer. You're not, it's different. And so you may feel a little isolated in that. But just know you're going to have new friends. Not that, like I said, those old friends are going to stay. It's just going to look a little different in terms of the quality time and, the bonding that you may have when you're going through something similar. You're going to have that with your law med colleagues, but just if that might look a little different. And then if you're non-traditional, just talk with your partner if you have a partner or a spouse, about the expectations that are going to be on you, and just kind of work with them on, hey, how can we, and Autumn, you could speak to this. You put your husband through law school, so just how that dynamic is going to change if you have children, just kind of expectations going forward, because it is going to change your schedule and your responsibilities. And so I think that's really important too in any relationship. It's all about expectation management. And so just kind of knowing that it's going to be a different season for you and just kind of preparing for that, even if you don't know the answer, just kind of putting that in your mind of, okay, things are going to shift here and let's just have a conversation.
That's right. So I
Yeah.
can chat a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely put my husband through law school. And the number one thing I will say is, at least for the law school space, 1L is not forever.
Right.
The
That's
pace
true.
and the tenacity that the 1L year requires is sort of unparalleled.
Yeah.
Med school is intense, but it's also sort of the craze is spread out over really those first 3 years, and especially those first 2 years that are more academic anyway, kind of preclinical kind of stuff. That 1L year, especially that fall semester of your 1L year, is probably the most important 3 to 4 months of your life. Like, no pressure, but it is.
Yeah.
Because class rank is really
Mhm.
set that the fall semester, because summer offers will come before
You
spring.
get your spring grades. Right.
So the fall matters a lot. Also, like Lysanne mentioned earlier, the bulk of what's covered on the bar exam is covered in that
Mhm.
1L year, right? It's the scaffolding, you layer everything else onto it to a 3L year. There are some other classes that you'll take to it,
Sure.
but the core of what you're learning happens in that 1L year, and it is so important. It's like visiting a foreign country and learning a new language. You have to full immerse. Even those of you who are doing part-time, there's
Yeah.
no such thing as part-time law school. It's full-time in
There
your.
really isn't. Yeah.
And so I think knowing that 1L is not forever, MS1 is not forever,
Mhm.
and taking some time to invest in your relationships now through the summer, right? Like spend time with your parents, spend time with your grandparents, spend time with your family. And know that you may not make every birthday party
Right.
coming school year. You're gonna have a month off at winter break, which is great
Yeah.
at the time. But just know you're going to have to say a lot of no. You're going to have to set
Mhm.
a lot of boundaries and make sure that you have managed those expectations with your
Yeah.
supporting cast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Relationships are a big part of your health. And so, some other pieces we'd love to talk about are just your physical health as well. 1L MS 1 year is not the time to start a new diet. We're not saying that, but just, look into a vitamin regimen. You're going to be up late. You may be missing some sleep. Sometimes, not that we ever recommend an all-nighter, but just, you may be short on sleep and rest at some times. And so looking into ways to support your immune system too, at law school and med school, you're a small cohort. It's, be sharing germs and all the things, even as adults. And so you just want to make sure that you're in a good place physically. Also, if say I had a good friend in law school who was a runner and she kept with that. She wasn't training for a marathon in one whole year, but she said, this is my time to really clear my head and just make sure, I'm in good physical health. And so she always crafted time for that. She would have her, some long runs a few times a week. So whatever that is for you. And if, you're coming out of college or you're just in a busy season, you don't have an exercise regimen, look into that. It doesn't have to be, intense weightlifting every day. Pilates, jogging, walking, even just walking for your mental health is super important. So just looking into that, you don't want to be the middle of that MS1 year and you're like, oh, what do I do? You kind of want to create these rhythms before you come into that first year so that it's one less thing you have to think about too. You have this routine in place. You may have to shift things around a little bit depending on your schedule and your school obligations, but you have that rhythm so that that's something that's a constant when kind of everything around you is a little bit unknown. I think is really helpful.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
It's our former bar instructors, so obviously, we're coming to this as professionals, but
yes.
there are so many studies out there that talk about physical fitness being related to mental health, being related to your physical health. Like, it's so important to move your body. So if you're not moving your body, start. And whatever makes you happy, right? Like whatever out for you to do is the workout you're going to do.
Exactly.
And be committed to it. And also be aware of the foods that make your body work, right?
That's true.
There's not like a one size fits all nutrition wise. We know that. We also know that no one's going to be operating at their best if they're living on Taco Bell and Mountain Dew. So you really need to prioritize your physical health.
Yes.
If you're able to meet with a dietitian, maybe optimize like what foods are best to fuel your body. Be proactive about that. Have a plan at the beginning. And I'm a menu planner.
Yeah.
And I can remember my husband coming home from law school his 1 year, and we've got like scratch cooking on the table. Like my friend throwing spaghettios out of a can. Of course, I'm doing better in law school because my body is fueled.
Right.
And so even if you're living alone, make that time, do some meal prep, turn on some music and make it good for you because food is medicine. It really is. For
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you can get in with a therapist, maybe.
Yes.
Like core value work to figure out what makes you go to work those stressful times. There's so many mental care places now. And so if that's in the cards for you, not a better start.
Absolutely. And that makes me think too, if you, getting in with a professional, but two, maybe some journaling prior to that MS1, that 1 year, why you're going on this journey and maybe looking back on it, when midterms are coming around, you're like, what am I doing? I'm floundering. Why did I pick? I feel like everyone kind of goes through this, like, not regret, but you're second guessing, what's the word here? You're doubting why. Yeah. And you're like, what is this? And you can go back and see, okay, this is why I'm here, kind of refocus, think about your why that we work with our clients on, when they're writing their beautiful personal statements, why med school, why law school, so that you can keep pushing through when it does get difficult. Because I think you can lose track of your why when you've got your classmates talking about interviews or the experiences that they've had. You may have a little bit of imposter syndrome. We all do. Everyone does, even the one who's bragging about everything. So just kind of journaling and remembering your why when it gets difficult, I think is very important.
That's exactly right.
And we love talking with clients about that. And, we stay with our clients even when they're in their first years. And so we're able to remind them, hey, I know you panicked a little bit, but remember, you've got this.
And you're good enough. You have that admit in your back pocket.
Thank you.
You have scholarship money if you have it. Once you're committed, that school is committed to getting you through.
Yes.
To that school, you are capable of doing this.
Absolutely.
Folders in your back pockets take up every amount of space that you need to in that class. And know that you belong. Do not tell people your MCAT score or your LSAT.
No, that's so silly. And if they're asking, don't be their friend.
No, that's a red flag. That is a glittery sequin red flag. Run away.
Yeah.
Don't tell people your undergraduate GPA. Don't brag. You don't have to tell them. Show them.
No. Right, because it's a new slate. That's been wiped away. It's a new slate, truly.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
No
Mm.
employer in your 1L, like on campus
Mm.
or off campus job hunt is going to ask you what your LSAT score was,
They're
right?
not.
They don't care. And when you start getting ready to match, all they care about is USMLE, step 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
focus on the task at hand. If you did great, awesome. Like we know you're going to do well in law or med school. If you got in off the wait list, guess what? So did 60% of your class.
Hmm. Right.
So
Don't second guess yourself.
oh, you are meant to be where you
Yeah,
are, and you've already done the hard
absolutely.
work. Put
Absolutely.
your shoulder into it and let's go.
Absolutely. And kind of the same that we advise our clients on throughout the admissions process is you're not bothering anyone. That's kind of my tagline. You're not bothering anyone that first year. Go to office hours.
Go.
Go to the career development office. Go to student services. If you're having, something going on in your personal life that's causing you stress in your studies, go talk to someone at your school about it because they
You're
care and or they should care and you're not bothering anybody.
not, oh, that's
So,
such good advice. When we
yeah.
start working with fresh out of high school grads who want to go to law school and med school someday, that's our favorite time, by the way. Like send us
Yes,
your like little siblings who are going to come because when we can catch them early, they don't make
absolutely.
mistakes that you did. Love you.
Right.
So
Love you, but they're ready,
they are
more
like
ready.
I have this little gaggle of girls at Princeton, and
Yeah, of
they are just brilliant future lawyers. And
course.
one of my assignments for them is you need to be in office hours once a week of
Mhm.
every math or science professor that you have,
Yeah.
because we know statistically if you go to office hours,
Yep. You're
you
gonna do better.
in the class, they're going to know you. Not only are you going to understand the way they teach better, you're going to be able to just naturally talk about things that may be confusing to you, and you're building a relationship for a future LOR. So it's
Yep.
just mutually exclusive. People are professors for the most part because they like to teach.
Exactly. And they're like students.
Yes, they like
Yeah.
you. Literally
Yeah.
why they're there. They could be making way more money out in practice, I promise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That brings me to the thought of, communicating with professors. What about in the summer before you start med law school, communicating still with the admissions office? Is that something that our students should be doing?
Friends, you have to check your email. Even if you're
Yeah.
backpacking through Europe for 2 months over the summer, when you pop into the coffee shop and have Wi-Fi for a hot minute, check your email and respond. As former admissions folk, trying to
Mm-hmm.
people, we have almost given away people's.
Yeah, because
I'm sure they weren't going to come.
right.
Mhm.
Exactly. We talked a little bit about that in our last podcast. So if you want more info, please go listen to that one. But it's super, super important to stay in communication because you may have paid your seat deposit, but still just stay in contact. And also, if you have questions about anything, let them know they're still there for you. But you're going to be getting a lot of emails about orientation, book lists, requirements. I'm sure it's the same for med students, but law students, you have homework before you even start. And so you don't want to show up to those first day of classes and not have your reading done. So, and a lot of times too, they'll support.
Scholarship money come available, and we'd
Oh
send it,
yeah,
hey,
forgot
like,
about that.
and
Oh yeah,
don't leave scholarship money on the table either.
yes, for
Yeah.
sure. So, and we talk about this all the time, but you're already starting your profession. You're building that legal network, that medical network. And the number one bar complaint is non-response to emails and phone calls. So we don't want to start, you know,
Mhm.
just getting that, not that they're going to make a complaint about you not answering your admissions emails, but we don't want to start in a pattern. It's time to be responsive to your emails that may have been okay in college to not do so because you probably got a ton about clubs and all these things, but the law school emails are very, very important. And it's important that you answer them, fill out any forms, surveys, all of those things, so that they're not hunting you down.
That's right. And they're, making informed decisions about cohorts, about mods, about
Yes.
sections, all of those kind of things.
Yes.
They are also setting up your school email. So whatever school
Yeah.
you're going to, guess what? Now you have an email address there. Make sure you've set it up and you're checking it, because that's all
Yes.
the pertinent information is going to be coming. And switch it over. If you've moved, let them know your new address. Maybe they're going to send you some cool swag. You don't want to bounce around
Right.
the college apartment. So
Exactly.
contact with your all of our law school and med school admissions friends are like, "Yes!" Because it's
Right.
hard. You guys get very transient that summer, before you
Yes.
start medical.
Yes. Yes. So take the advice to kind of zen out, but not too much. Like
Right.
still keep connected. It's all good things, all
All good.
great things. So, yeah.
Well, we are so thankful that you joined us today.
Yes.
Some of our podcasts are going to be a little lighter like this. We're going to tell you
Yes.
to exercise and start vitamins. Um,
Mhm.
and some of them are going to be very practical and tactical
Yeah.
and academic. So keep popping
Yes.
back in here. We're going to be talking to you about the things that our clients are asking us about. So it's a little bit of
Yes.
behind the curtain.
Absolutely.
I'm
And we're not sponsored by AG1. We're just putting that out there as people who care about you. There's no sponsors, vitamin sponsorships. We just want you to be healthy.
yet we're open for vitamin sponsorship if you want to come and talk.
Yes. Send us some
Hey, Pure
samples,
Bar. Hey, Pure Bar. I would love for you to comp my membership.
please.
Yes. Speaking of which, it is time for us to turn out the lights here in
Yes.
office hours.
Yes. But we're always open on socials. So pop in, DM us with a question, comment on any of our reels or our posts. Let us know what you want to hear about next time.
Right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.